All right, welcome everyone. So I am joined today by Master Sergeant Kenton Dispro. He is a recruiter for the United States Air Force, and he's with us today to talk a little bit about what it's like to have a career in the Air Force. So go ahead and tell us, what's it like to have a career in the Air Force?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that it's kind of just like having a career in anything else. Sometimes I even forget that I'm even in the military because I would say the Air Force is a little bit more laid back maybe than some of the other branches. Um, if you've never seen an active duty Air Force base, it's pretty intense. I mean, we have a lot of things to do on and off duty, so there's always things to stay entertained with. We have bowling alleys, movie theaters, shopping centers, gyms, really nice gyms, and while you're working too, sometimes it just feels like you're working a normal civilian job. For the Air Force, for me, I wanted to be a cop. So when I went and talked to my recruiter in the Air Force, that's what I ended up coming in as, was security forces. So it's just like working any law enforcement job on the outside. A lot of my friends went the traditional route, went to college, and I was actually just hanging out with them this weekend, and we were kind of talking about our differences in our careers, and it was very similar, besides the fact that now I'm a recruiter. But my law enforcement career was pretty similar to what they had dealt with, or are still dealing with.
Yeah, great. Sounds like there's a lot of great perks to getting into a military career, specifically the Air Force. So you kind of talked a little bit about how you got started. It sounded like you were interested in a career in protective services. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, in my senior year of high school, I received a scholarship. So I was going to go to college just like most kids. And while in college, I kind of felt like I don't like to say tricked, but I felt like I got tricked once I got through one semester. I was like, I don't even know if this is what I want to do. Like, should I keep going for 4 years and get a degree and then start working in a job that I don't even know if I'm going to like it or not? And then I'm stuck, and then I have to go the wrong way on a one way just to go back to college to get a different degree to start a whole new career path. So that was when I decided to actually go into the Flint, Michigan recruiter's office and enlist from there. And I fell in love with the Air Force instantly. It was actually the last branch that I talked to, but it was the one that I felt like I had the biggest connection with. And believe it or not, the recruiter sold me on having air conditioning in the dormitories.
Yeah.
So that was one of the big perks for me. I wanted some air conditioning, and the travel opportunities too. Actually, the first plane that I ever rode on was on the way to San Antonio, Texas for basic training. That's the first plane I'd ever been on, and now I've been to over 50 different countries and all over the United States. So I'd say I got exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah, that is great. And even though you didn't end up, pursuing college, it sounds like there's a lot of training still that's involved. So even if, college may not be for you, what training opportunities are available in the Air Force?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people like to think of the military as almost like a technical college. I'd say the one thing that sets the Air Force apart from the other branches is that not only are we going to teach you a technical school, technical training, but then we're the only branch that has our own college. So actually, when you do come into the Air Force, let's say you want to go the alternate route, or what I like to tell my recruits is actually the accelerated route, because maybe you want to do both, get a hands-on skill, but also receive some college credit hours so you can use it on the civilian side. We're the only branch that has that. So we have the community college of the Air Force. So when you come into the Air Force, you're automatically enrolled in a degree program that fits the career field that you chose to come in as. And so just for going through basic training and technical training, you're actually getting taught by only college accredited instructors. So every Air Force instructor that we have has a degree, or is within a couple credit hours of earning their degree. So it's all 100% upheld through the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, which is one of the 8 regional accreditation bodies in the United States. It's the same regional accreditation that governs Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, and some of those big-time universities down in the South. So when you come into the Air Force, you can almost get a 2-for-1. You can get a technical skill, but it's also, you're going to have it on paper when you leave, where we'll actually going to, because we have our own university, you're actually going to get a college transcript that has a lot of weight behind it. So let's say maybe college isn't for you now, but maybe it's going to be for you later. You can actually take all the training that we're giving you, transfer it to a 4-year university, or even just earning associates through the community college of the Air Force. We actually award degrees as well. So
That's awesome. Sounds like a really great quality training program. And you mentioned some other options within the Air Force. So how do you move up in rank, or how do you move around to various careers within the Air Force?
yeah, absolutely. So when you first come in, the job that you are looking for, that's the job that we're going to try to give you. So you'll come in as, and you'll know what job you're coming in as. And then promotion wise, the first four ranks, you have Airman Basic, Airman First Class, and Senior Airman. Those are actually all given to you. You just have to be in the Air Force long enough. So each one of those has like an actual timeline. And as long as you meet that timeline and you don't have any disciplinary problems or, failure to cope or anything like that, then you're automatically going to move into those ranks. And then after that, you actually have to test. You receive promotion points, and then you actually take two tests, one kind of based on your job knowledge, and then one based on Air Force knowledge. And depending on how you score on those tests, you can move into Staff Sergeant. It's the same way to promote to Technical Sergeant, and then Master Sergeant, which is where I'm at now. That we no longer test for. That one is actually decided by, you'll have three people that'll sit on a board, and they'll kind of look over the past 5 years of your duty history and kind of give you a grade based on how well they think that you're performing against your peers. And as long as your board score is above the cutoff, then you actually get promoted to Master Sergeant. Same way for Senior Master Sergeant and Chief.
Okay, great. So work hard and do a good job. Pretty much what it
Yeah,
sounds
absolutely.
like. Yeah. So, what are some of the challenges in your job, or a career in the Air Force?
I would say the biggest thing that I think holds people back, because I would like to say that really looking back at my decision to join the Air Force, I really felt like when I came into recruiting that I wanted to change the whole stigma on, the military not being the first option for everyone, because I really think it should be, because we're going to give you everything that you're looking for, and we're going to give it to you for free. And the biggest thing I think that holds people back is just leaving home, leaving family and friends, maybe for the first time in their lives. So I would say that's probably the biggest challenge, is having to leave family and friends. But one thing that people don't understand is that, you do get 30 days of leave. So every year, if you wanted to, you could come home for 30 days, or you could stagger those leave days so that you can come home multiple times. And then, family can come to you sometimes. I was, even for my first 4 years, I was stationed in Germany and England. And my wife now, we were dating at the time, and she would fly out to England a couple times a year and come see me and have those travel opportunities too, so we were able to share that together. So I really don't think that it's even that much of a sacrifice, but it seems to be the number one thing that kind of holds people up, is just having to be away for longer maybe than they've ever have in their entire life.
Right, right. So along with that, what are the best parts of your job?
So almost kind of like the worst parts. I think the best parts are the travel opportunities. I've been all over the world, and I've been places during times and been able to experience things that a lot of people never experienced in their entire life. I mean, when I was in England, the Olympics were there, so I was front and center field when the women's soccer team for the United States won the gold medal against Japan, and I got to see it live right there in person. I got to see the gold medal presentation right after that, I would say my other favorite thing about the Air Force is if you like to stay fit, it's part of the job. And so, you're going to have time to go to the gym and stay in shape. My wife always gives me a hard time because she's always working all the time, and she doesn't have time. She has to make time at the end of the day to squeeze in the gym time. And so she always jokes with me. She's like, your work doesn't even start till 10 a.m. And I'm like, well, I'm in the gym at 7:30 a.m. So that's actually part of my job, But so I get to stay in shape. I would say that's probably my favorite part about the job is I'm in my young 30s, and I still feel like I'm 19, just like I did when I joined, because I'm able to stay fit 24/7.
That's great. What advice would you give someone to someone who's interested in pursuing a career in the Air Force?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say first and foremost, reach out. Maybe you have somebody in your family that served in the Air Force, or maybe you have a family friend that served in the Air Force, and kind of get their opinion, or not even the Air Force, anybody that served in general. Just ask them, and then ask them what their opinion is of the Air Force, and kind of get that firsthand perspective. And then, if you like what you hear, call your local Air Force recruiter and set up an appointment, see what they have to say, because it's not for everybody. And we know that, but if you sit down and you and your recruiter have a discussion about what's important to you, and you kind of feel like you and the Air Force are kind of on the same page, and that this might be something that you feel like that you want to do, then that's great. You can jump on that opportunity. And in the meantime, if you're not of age to even join the Air Force yet, stay out of trouble. Biggest way that you can disqualify yourself from the Air Force is law violations. Watch out for any major injuries if you play sports, or you're doing any kind of crazy extracurricular activity, because I'd like to say everybody can get into the Air Force, but a lot of the times that people get disqualified for medical reasons. So try to stay healthy, stay away from the law, and keep your grades up, because you do have to pass a armed service vocational aptitude battery test in order to get into the Air Force as well.
Good advice. You mentioned reaching out to your local Air Force recruiter. Is there a website that someone could go to get that information?
Yeah, absolutely. The best way is actually to go on airforce.com. There's also, even before you reach out to your local recruiter, if you want to see what career fields that we offer, there's even a survey that you can take. And at the end of the survey, it'll actually, based on your questions of what you're interested in, it'll actually show you some of the jobs that you might be interested in the Air Force. So it's kind of like a personality/career test. And at the end of it, there's an information section where if you want to have a recruiter in your area reach out to you, you plug in your information, and your nearest recruiter will actually have I think it's only like 3 days to reach out to contact you. So that's the quickest way to get a hold of your local recruiter, especially if you don't know where they're at.
Great. That's good information to know. Thank you again. Thanks, Master Sergeant Dispro. We really appreciate your time today to give us more information about what it's like to be in the Air Force. So thanks again.
Okay, thank you.